Wow.
Good morning.
Good afternoon. Good evening. It's episode 84, Jana, the worst podcast on the internet. We're back. Oh my God.
We're still here. I don't know why, and so are you. So it's okay. We're all here together.
So, this is a Not Safe for Work podcast in all respects. Is that right, Jana?
All respects. I apologize for the random 10-year-old jumping in. Just
Mommy pancakes is going to be a classic phrase for now on.
It really is.
And I didn't want to delete the comments, so they were pretty funny. So
yeah. So Jessica, I have a very important question to ask you.
About sponsors?
Are you ready?
Okay.
Would you rather eat a Hare sandwich or an earwax omelet?
None.
You have to pick one.
Hare.
A Hare sandwich. I think I would go with the earwax omelet myself. All right. Sorry. Back
we need
our wonderful sponsors.
Kind of palate cleanse.
Ooh, that always works.
Okay. VetDNA.com for all of your testing needs. Use code SHITHAPPENS for $5 off the crypto panel. And, you know, we haven't talked about testing sort of explicitly in a while, but it's still important. And I know y'all are getting into hog noses, and you need to test them for crypto. Do not fuck around and find out, because you will be even more wrecked than normal. So please test. Thank you. Brill. All right. We're back. Let's do the other three, and then we'll do a shout outs or something.
Sure.
Excellent. Who's this critter?
The OG sponsor, Mr. Shane Kelley. This is his husbandry.pro storefront.
Who needs a breedable female sunset?
Oh, we're looking at you, Leviathan. But I just don't like that project. Anyway, so if you are looking for a lovely snake from Shane, look at his husbandry.pro. Yeah, that's right. And we thank him for sponsoring the podcast.
Thank you. Who are these beautiful people?
These beautiful people, Gray Family Snakes. They went to Africa.
Fucking tree, by the way. Keep going.
Yeah, fucking tree right in the middle of town. That's amazing. They are actually on their way back as we speak. So we won't see them in the comments today, but thinking about you guys. Hopefully you fly safe. They will be on Proper Royals on Tuesday to talk all about their trip, to share photos and stories. And I can't wait personally. I'm really excited to hear how it went. They went down there to help volunteer at the charity that they help sponsor that does eye surgeries. So
is your dog okay?
No, she's really mad. I put her in her kennel because she was misbehaving. Anyway,
okay.
So I may have to go save her. But anyway, they are flying back, and we will hear all about it. Proper Royals on Tuesdays. On Tuesday, make sure you guys tune in. And thank you for sponsoring the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks. BNS Reptilia, if you are looking for not just ball pythons.
There he is.
I think he has a couple of, they're at the airport. Hi, guys. I think he still has a couple boas left. If you don't see what you're looking for, make sure you message him because he does have a lot of eggs on the ground. And he could put you on the list. So exciting things coming up this season for him. And we are grateful that he sponsors our podcast.
And he was on Warfels. When does Warfels do it? Monday? Sunday?
Yeah, we talked about it last week. We said tune in.
And then he's going on again this week.
Oh.
For the Pennsylvania breeder. I don't think we talked about it last week, did we? I don't know. Doesn't matter. But he's doing the Pennsylvania breeder roundup this coming week.
Oh, cool. That'll
on
be fun.
Warbles. Yeah. Thank you, Chris. All right. You want to do shout outs?
Sure. Let me just scroll up. Forward Motion Reptiles first.
Hi.
Jason May, Aurelio, Tara, LMK, Jake. Holdback Rack was here, handing out cool points. Eric's Morph Factory, Bohemian, Kelsey, Richard, Blackjacks. Sorry, it just kicked me out. Is it really loud? Yeah. Redstrom, Snakes for the Memory, Stoneage, also a sponsor. Good morning. Marshall, good morning. Texas Kid Reptiles, Multiplayer Morphs, Straight Blast Pythons, Blue Balls. I still see Reptifart. I'm sorry. I can't unsee it. That's what my brain tells me. That's what their storefront's called. All right. An inappropriate would you rather brought to you by Serafina. The
that was crazy.
ASM. She has recently gotten really brave with her reading, and she carries these around and randomly asks me them. You know, like when I first opened my eyes and she's standing over me with a would you rather card. So I just thought I would share that fun adventure with all of you. Patricia's here. Marissa Kaiju, is that how you say that?
Mm-hmm. Bods.
Stone Cold, Bods. Good morning, everybody.
Stone Cold.
Oh, Studio Cold. Sorry.
That's so funny.
I swear I read good.
All right, I have a question. Like, would you rather, let's do a would you rather. Would you rather stick with ball pythons? Like, if you could go back in time and convince yourself, would you rather do that or have gotten into a different species? Even though you, like, learned on ball pythons and they were pretty easy to learn on. Like, knowing what you know now. This is very hypothetical and literally doesn't change reality at all.
Can I keep some ball pythons, but just diversify, or do I get no ball pythons?
Let's say this is a scenario where, like, you were on snake discovery and you could have picked bull snake, whatever the other one is. That was what you were going to start with. You could have bought into ball pythons, but your primary was something else. Would you go back in time and change that feeling, or do you think you don't care? You were happy enough where you ended up right now?
I'm super happy with where I've ended up. If I could go back and do it again, I probably would do hognose.
Okay.
And some like Asian rat snakes. But I still love ball pythons and would want to be breeding them as well. But I wish that I had diversified early on.
Right. It's hindsight's 2020.
And that I like saved up my money and bought less snakes but better snakes.
Yeah, there was a time there where I was like, Jana, what are you doing?
I know. I was just doing my thing.
And you can buy cheaper snakes that fit, but I just was like, I thought we were done. All right, do you want to save your dog and I will talk to Chad or something? Or do you want to keep dogging it up?
We're going to give her a few more minutes and see if she calms down. I don't want her to think that if she cries, she gets to just get right out. So
when I cry,
hard lessons. Hard lessons, everybody.
When I cry pineapple.
Well, she needs a nap anyway, so she should go to sleep soon. If she doesn't, I will go rescue her.
Well, Chris is in the chat too. What's up?
Good morning. Yeah, no, let's go right into the substrate showdown.
Okay.
Or do you need her to stop barking before you can fully focus?
I can't focus, but you're the one who needs to focus. So if you feel like you can ignore her sufficiently. I
ignore with the best of them. I've got 3 kids.
What does the chat think? Is the dog too loud for
guys?
chat?
Do I need to? give Pandora some relief, or are you guys okay with some yapping in the background?
Yeah, I guess I'm not saying like to the exclusive ball pythons. Like you could have added them later, but like if your primary had been something else,
Right, because like we watched a lot of Snake Discovery, so I did look into getting bull snakes, but like I said, I had no experience with snakes, and so I think that ball pythons were a really nice introduction because they were pretty safe to handle. They were pretty, like, if they bite you, it's not that big of a deal. Um, Everybody can breed them. They were just like a nice, easy, I don't know, palate cleanser or introduction gateway.
wheels snake.
Yeah, and so I think if I had started with a harder snake like hognoses that are really difficult to get started, they can eat their partner. Like there's just like a bunch of things with hognoses that could have gone wrong that maybe would have made me give up and quit, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I do really love them, and I wish I had more of them. And I do want to diversify in the future. I want to have garters, and I want to have Asian rat snakes. I'd really love to have rainbow boas and some kind of like locality boa, like the ones we talked about on that episode. I need to go back through and write some down because I don't remember any of them. But there were some really amazing locality boas that I think would be fun to work with. And then there's that the snake eating snake that I sent you, Mazarari or whatever it is. Musarana, thank you. I'd really love to work with those instead of king snakes. Not that I don't like king snakes. If I were to do that again, I would get Florida kings because I just think they're prettier. But I think it'd be really fun to work with something that serves the purpose of eating young or kinked snakes that are needing to be euthanized, but also are really unique.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all stuff I've been thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of conversations with unnamed people about topics like this.
Dee's Balls said the pied ones, Musaranis, are amazing. They're incredible. Even the wild types are so phenomenal, but the pied project is mwah. So I just think it why not? Like, why wouldn't you have something that's different and unique and beautiful and have that in your collection? It's just, it would be really cool to work with something besides a simple king snake.
King snakes are cool though.
King snakes are fun and I like them. And I took one of my king snakes to a preschool little like reptile presentation, and she ate for the kids, and I've never taken her anywhere before, so I like had no idea how she'd react. But I was like, she always eats, she's such a trash can. And it was like a smaller than normal mouse for her, and I was like, I'm just gonna give it a go, she'll probably do it right. And she did. She like didn't even flinch, she just immediately started eating, so all the 4-year-olds got to see it, and that was really cool. So I mean, eventually if I can make it work out where I can do like reptile education, of course I will have king snakes for that. But long term, I would love to be a reptile educator and have at least, you know, like a Noah's Ark type collection for that purpose and because it's cool.
Are you going to start a zoo? All right, let's do this before we get too far along, because then we'll run out of time for our guest. We won't be done by the time the guest comes on, hypothetically. All right, Jana, we need the 1 month update.
1 month update. And I kind of do like a recap of last time. Right. So if you haven't watched that, it's okay. You can watch it after this because it was a lot more detailed. But we looked at 6 different substrates. Coco blocks, Go for Coco. We looked at their large chunk and their small chunk. Rep2Chip, Coco to Go, and the chipper. And last time I got the Coco to Go and the chipper like Thursday night, and the episode was Friday, and so I didn't get to include them in the tannin test and stuff. And so this one, they'll be part of everything.
You ready?
I'm ready. So this is what the substrates look like dry. If you'll scroll down just a little bit so we can read the words. So
You need to back out a little bit.
Coco to go, the chipper, Freedom Breeder, Coco blocks, and keep scrolling. And then you have your Go for Coco, the large chunk, the small chunk, and then it's next to Reptichip. And then that's what it looks like wet or rehydrated. Coco to go does not need rehydration. It comes ready to use. So you don't have to add water or anything. So breaking apart while dry, Coco to go comes loose. The chipper was the easiest one to break apart. Coco blocks, which actually advertises that it's really easy to break off just whatever you need, was really easy to break apart. Go for Coco large was the hardest of the big chunks, and then Go for Coco small and Reptichip, they're the smaller and they have all those fibers and those. Why fucking bother? If you need just a little bit for like a private or like personal hobby collection, then they're not the ones you want to use. And then when they're wet, the Coco to go comes loose and already hydrated, so that's not applicable. Go for Coco is amazing. It soaks up all that water and it just like falls apart. It's all the way to the center, like super amazing. The next that was best when wet to break apart was Coco blocks, and then the chipper and Reptichip were both crappy even when wet to break apart. Good afternoon, Boza Balls.
Hi.
Hi, Matt.
Are you next slide?
Yep. So the smell lineup, we kind of talked about this, but I've added to it. Coco to go has absolutely no smell. So for those of you that are really sensitive to that chemically smell and are looking for an option that isn't going to give you a headache, Coco to go, absolutely nothing. Go for Coco small had a very, very faint, so like basically not really. And then the chipper has that faint chemical smell, but it also smells like cocoa, and none of the other ones I felt like smelled like cocoa. Go for Coco large has that light chemical smell again, and Reptichips and Coco blocks are very strong, and it did not fade over the 30 days. It is still just as strong as the day I opened the package. So it's really strong chemicals. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Sorry for those in the audio only. Billy's here. Hi, Billy. And then, so if you're really sensitive to that chemically smell, Reptichip and Coco blocks are definitely not going to be for you. They smell like chemicals. Even when you open it 30 days later, I still get that chemical. I'm really sensitive to chemical smells, so this is pretty important for me. And then after 30 days of use, everybody had an adult female breeder on their substrate for 30 days. And I checked for odor. None of them had odor. So they all worked equally well at soaking up that urine. I did spot clean. I did not add any hydration during that 30 days to the substrate. I just let what I had added originally fly for that 30 days. Coco blocks didn't smell like urine or feces, but it did smell like mold really bad. So you like open it up and you get that whiff of mold, and that is because it molded after about a week and pretty substantially, but there'll be pictures of that as we go. And go ahead and go to the next slide. So I redid the 72-hour tannin test, but with all 6 products. And Coco to go had almost 0 tannins. So I'm not even sure if you can count this as tannins. It's mostly just like particulates, but
the dust.
The dust that weren't settling all the way to the bottom. I mean, it was pretty clear.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's pretty damn good. I was shocked because like the other ones are, for those that are just listening, the other ones, there's some like really, really, really dark, almost red. My daughter thought they were blood. I'm like, yes, I'm just playing with buckets of blood. And then the other ones are tea colored, which is was what I was expecting from this test. So the next after Coco to go, which basically had no tannins, was Reptichip, which shocked us last time. They still did a really good job with tannins. Go for Coco Large was almost as good as Reptichip, but was just a hair darker. And then Go for Coco Small and the Chipper were pretty similar in darkness. There was minimal staining on white snakes. I try to put ivories or pies or light colored snakes in the bin so we could see if it came off on snakes. And there was like a little bit right at first, and then it didn't continue to stain them. Whereas the Coco Blocks stains your snakes. It continues to stain your snakes. And my white snake was pink. So if you have a lot of light colored snakes or it really bothers you when substrates stain your snakes, Coco Blocks would not be the one for you. And like I said, the Go for Coco Small and the Chipper, they did initially stain, but that completely wore off as the month progressed.
Mm-hmm. And to be fair, tannins aren't poisonous or something. They just like,
they're just unsightly.
You can't sell the snake without an explanation to why it's somehow stained, right?
Well, and it makes them look sickly. So you can't even take like pictures of them or anything because it looks like your snake is dying. Okay, right. So if you guys look at this, you'll notice that this is the same setup that we had last month. I prepared these all a month ago for that original podcast, and then I pushed them all back into that rack, and I left them and didn't touch them for a whole month. So when I opened it up after a month, I removed the top layer. As you can see, it's pushed back. These were completely full. I pushed it back and evaluated which ones were still moist and which ones were not. So Go for Coco Large was the most moist. I still feel like moist. I love that word. It was the most, had the most hydrated cocoa than the other ones. I feel like you could have still picked those up and like squeezed out water from them. They were just amazing. Coco to Go was a pretty close second. Reptichip, surprisingly, really kept its moisture. And I don't know if that's because of how thick. These are the baby tubs, so they're like, what, like 3 inches? That have to be 5. I think that's like 3 inches deep. And I normally do like 1.5 to 2. So anyway, Reptichip got 3rd. Go for Coco Small got 4th. It was pretty close behind Reptichip. The Chipper and Coco Blocks, even though it looks dark, they were pretty dry. Like the Coco Blocks were pretty much like almost dry, and the Chipper, there was like a little bit of moisture, which is pretty surprising because I didn't feel like it soaked up moisture very well, but maybe what it soaks up, it keeps. And so if you have humidity problems like I do, the Go for Coco, even out in the shed, snake shed, it has stayed moist the whole month. I haven't added anything to it. I have like a little bit of condensation on the front of my tubs, which I haven't seen condensation since I moved out there. And so this is probably the product that I'll be using because it's not strong on chemical smells and it is great for people who struggle with humidity. If humidity,
I know your name's Gerald. I'm just dumb. Okay.
I called him Jared the last episode, and I don't normally.
I swear I know your name's Gerald. I speak all the time. It's actually like just one of the fun facts of being live. You will stumble awesomely constantly. So I am very sorry, Gerald.
Anyway, but if you have too high of humidity, you might want to pick one of the ones that didn't retain its moisture as much. That might work better for you. So whatever feature you're looking for, hopefully this helps you decide. This like ranking system helps you find the right fit for you, because there isn't a right substrate for everyone. Like I can say the one that's going to work for me may not work at all for you. So for me, that Go for Coco Large is probably what I'll be using from here on out, because I finally don't have a humidity problem. Go ahead. Yeah. So 6th place overall. So we looked at those scores that I just gave everybody, those rankings, and I added them all together. And the one with the most points is last. So 6th place overall was Coco Blocks. It had the same size and consistency as Go for Coco, but it molded within 1 week. And I'm not talking about a little mold. I'm talking about growing a funny farm. So there's a picture there of what the substrate looked like at 30 days. And it was not just that little part. It was all of it. And I think at the end I have the full tub picture that you guys can see. It was 5th place in the chemical smell test. So it has a really strong chemical smell. It's placed 6th in the tannin test, so it's definitely going to stain your snakes. And it was 6th place in the retained moisture. It did break apart great, dry and wet. It ranked 3rd place on that. So of all of these products, honestly, like I don't want to shit on someone's product, but if this is your product or this is a product that you represent, maybe talk to your people and see what you can do about it, because I have heard the mold thing from other people. And I've experienced it myself. I've also experienced the staining, and the smell has always bothered me. So, I mean, just maybe things to think about before you purchase. But I did not and have not had a good experience with this product. 5th place overall is Reptichip. It's interesting that the 2 biggest names are the lowest rankings, but this one does have the most strings of all the blocks. It has the same size and consistency as Go for Coco Small. It got 5th place in chemical smell test, 2nd place in the tannin test. Good job, Reptichip. 3rd in retained moisture, and breaks apart dry and wet. It placed 5th. So it's not molding. It did really good in tannins. I mean, like, you just have to weigh what your priorities are.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4th place overall was the chipper, size and consistency of Coco Blocks and Go for Coco. Of the larger ones, it had the most strings. When rehydrating, I've been told I did it wrong, but this is how I hydrated all the blocks that I was using. And it did not soak up the water. There was still water in the bottom of the container when I filled tubs. I used all of the substrate that I hydrated in all my new tubs, and there was still standing water in the bottom of that tub. So I don't know. I don't know what it's doing. It didn't have odor, so it must have been doing its job, but that was weird for me. I had a hard time getting over that. So 5th place in the tannin test. It did stain the snakes for about a week, and then them just moving around on it came off. And so not a huge problem, but something to be aware of. 3rd in retained moisture. So even though it doesn't absorb water well, it did keep the water it absorbed. And then it breaking apart dry, it got 3rd, wet, it got 4th. So not the worst, but not the best. And then for 3rd place overall, if we could scroll down. So this is the Go for Coco, the small chunks, which is the 8 to 16 millimeter. It's the same size and consistency of Reptichip, but it does have less strings. It absorbed quickly and expanded the most out of all 6 blocks. It got 2nd place in the smell test, 4th in the tannin test, 4th in the retained moisture, and breaks apart dry. It was... Don't even try to do it dry. But wet, it got 2nd. So this is actually my favorite one out of all of them. I will probably use the larger chunk because it retained moisture better than the smaller chunk. But even with the adults, I put it with hatchlings and adults, and it was my favorite to use. And I thought I liked bigger chunks for adults and smaller chunks for little guys. But it just is, it's so nice in the tub. And when you pull out the clump, like it had, because it's so small, it like packs down and it's solid all the way across. Whereas the bigger chunks, like even if you put it 1.5 inches deep, there's like gaps. And so like when they poop or pee and stuff, it like all like trickles down and it makes a big mess and smears on the side. And you got to like scrub before you refill it after you take it out. But this product, they would go to the bathroom and it would like catch it all and keep it there. I know it's hard to explain. And so you just like grab it and go. And obviously you still like spray it and clean the spot, but you're not like scrubbing off anything because it has held it. And I haven't had a substrate do that for me. So I really like that. So I'll have to play with this substrate and see if I can get it to retain water like its big brother, because cleanup in those bigger female tubs was awesome with this product. Okay, and then we'll go to second. Second overall was the large chunk, 14 to 22 millimeters. It's the same size as the bigger blocks. It absorbed water immediately. There was no dry center. It just sucked it up right to the center, and then it literally like falls apart on its own. You don't even have to take it apart. Fourth place in the chemical smell test. Third place tannin test. First in retained moisture. So like I said, this is the one I'll probably be using because I suffer from humidity issues with my snakes. And it is just as wet today as it was 30 days ago when I put it in that breeder's bin. And
that's what he said.
Just as wet, guys. I mean, where can you go wrong with that? So I was extremely shocked every week when I checked on it that it was still, and I didn't add any water to any of the tubs. I did refill their water or clean their water weekly. And so if they were like sitting in their water and spilled out or whatever, but it was wet all the way through, the same wetness as when we started. And I thought that that was pretty amazing. I like the small chunks. Okay, so our first place overall winner, and this may have been cheating or a given, you decide, was the Coco to Go, because it came pre-hydrated. It got high marks in those things because they were already hydrated. So it was easy to break apart because you're not breaking anything apart, wet or dry. It did get first place in the chemical smell test. It has absolutely no smell. It doesn't smell like coconut. It doesn't smell like chemicals. It is completely odorless. And even after a month of having snakes in, and I'm telling you guys, this is love. I picked up a handful from each bin and sniffed it like this.
And popped it. Mm-hmm.
Just for you. I should have really videoed it because that would have just been
a reel. That's a good reel.
But I did. I sniffed each. I freaking did. Okay. And it still had no smell after a month. It is the second in retained moisture. And so my only hesitation with this substrate is I need somebody that's good at math or higher thinking, i.e. Jessica, to figure out, because I'm having a hard time with the idea that if you're getting 50 pounds of hydrated substrate, how much water are you paying for? Because I thought the reason that we compressed and dehydrated our coconut blocks was to not ship each other water.
Right. But maybe.
So I don't know if you're like losing value or you're getting less for the same price.
What's the price difference if you bought it from somebody on a waxing moon?
On a waxing moon. I believe that it is similarly priced to 5 blocks of, so it's 50-pound bales. So it's the same, similarly priced. They're all right around the same, like within a few dollars. So it's the same as 5 of the breeder blocks price wise. And I feel like it's just Jana snorting Coco. I need an intervention. Thank you, Billy. I do need an intervention. I never want to do that again. Because I didn't know when I first started if it was going to get dicey. But yeah, so I would love to hear more about this product because it did overall, it won by, I think, like 5 points or something crazy like that. So comes already ready. We need to figure out if the value is less for what you're paying for the other product, because if you're getting less product and you're paying to ship water, that's a big no for me. But it was a great product to use. It had 0 dust. It had 0 strings. It had the most consistent size. And there's literally like nothing to complain about. I just have a question in my brain about cost, weight, benefit analysis.
Mm-hmm. Well, even if you're shipping water, if it's worth it to you to save that time,
Yeah, I mean,
Gives a
absolutely.
shit.
I mean, there's definitely people that this will greatly benefit. Blackjack says prehydrated is moves that straight to last for me. So I didn't rank these on personal opinion. I ranked these on data. So this is not my first place pick. My first place pick is the Go for Coco large. But I want to love the smaller one better. So I'm going to play with it because I had to add the same amount of moisture to each bale in order to make it scientifically sound. And so I will rehydrate the next block with more moisture and see if it can perform the same as the large chunk, because cleanup with the small chunk was amazing. But according to the numbers, this is the one that placed first.
Okay.
And then I have a shot of the whole tub in order of who won. So this is the first place winner. And if you notice, there is some in the very center. There's still some wet cocoa, which is great. This is the Go for Coco large chunk. And if you look, like, it's still very saturated. The third place, it looks like it's really saturated. But if you look about halfway, there's like a darker around the water cup. That was still hydrated. But everything from about the water cup back had dried out. So we'll see. We'll keep playing with that. And then the chipper, like I said, it still has like the little bit of moisture in the center. It seems like that's what's drying out last. And then you have Reptilia chip. And if you see like just a little circle around the cup is hydrated and everything else is dried out. And then the very last one is Cocoa Blocks. And if you can see all the white speckling, that is all mold. And so for those that are concerned and are going to call animal welfare, this snake has received a fresh tub. Everyone thanks her for her service in the mold den. She's fine. But I stir my tubs when they get like packed down and I don't know, weird. And so there is more mold, but I was like stirring it around for funsies, just really working it in there. But you can see that it is molding. And I don't know why that's the one that molded, but that's the one that always molds for me. So that's what we did. That's what we got, guys. What do you think? Did the one win that you thought was going to win? Is there something that you prefer over another? Like Blackjack said, not or prehydrated was a deal breaker for him. Like, hopefully this information helps you make the best choice. And
yeah, and obviously, like,
everybody has different needs.
Do you, boo.
Right.
Exactly. The order doesn't matter really, but it's just a way of thinking about it to like contextualize your decision
and to meet your needs. You know, like some people could care less about the smell, and they're like, Jana, none of them smell. Like,
I can't smell a difference.
Yeah. So my ex is the same way. Like, I would open Reptilia chip and I'd be like, I gotta air it out, and he's like, Jana, it doesn't smell like anything, and I'm like, it's giving me a headache. So like, some people don't smell anything, and so that's not even a factor for them. But other people, like, that could be really important. So hopefully you'll be able to use that information in a scientific way to help you make a good choice for yourself. Or if you haven't tried a product and you were thinking about trying a product, hopefully that information steers you towards the product that will help you the best. There is no like really wrong substrate. Personally, I think that the staining and the mold on Cocoa Blocks, I wouldn't use that. I wouldn't recommend someone use that. Hopefully that's something they look into and fix. But of all the other substrates, like it's the coconut substrate, you're not going to go wrong. These are just little minute details that separated them from each other. And like I said, in the end, you need to use what works for you. So if what you have works great, perfect. If what you have doesn't,
if you don't have a local vendor yet for one or the other, you can't try it anyway. Technically, you could ship it, but a lot of times that is a deal breaker. Just adding shipping to it ruins.
Right, exactly. Multiplayer more, so you can go for Coco on Instagram, and there is a link, and it'll tell you who the regional suppliers are. I believe there's 4, and they're working on a few more for us. It's brand new, just like literally probably like 5 days before the first episode. Our Pacific Northwest vendor was finally able to get his very first shipment. So brand new to the US. If you don't find someone close to you, you can message them on Instagram and ask them if there's one coming to you, or you can ask if you can become one, whatever your desire is. Talk to them. They will help coordinate and get some to your house.
Mm-hmm. What? Look at speak of the devil.
Hi. Shane's first, everybody.
I like how that's officially his thing.
It's officially
an hour
He's
in.
first, an hour in. 45 people are here, but Shane was first. OG.
He's technically was first on this one.
Jersey Balls is the Northeast supplier. Powerhouse Pythons is the Pacific Northwest supplier. Those are the only two that I know. If you know your supplier, feel free to comment. But I do know that they're working on doubling that number soon. But like I said, it's been in the US a month. So give them a little bit of time on that if it's something you're wanting to try. I'm a convert. I believe.
Did we talk about it on the show that I was thinking about peat moss again?
No, we didn't. That was a private conversation.
Okay. Yeah, I like Coco. It's fine, right? But I have lots of species, so like I like to keep like the number of things I do down to like 3 things or 3 substrates. So I was thinking about moving to peat moss, which you obviously don't want it to dry out because then it's really dusty. But it's $4 for a 40-pound bag at Walmart, and I could put like leaf litter on it so they don't eat too much of it or whatever. And I was like, I don't know.
You can count it as enrichment too.
Yeah, I haven't done it yet.
Lots of good smells in there. Yeah, I mean, I want you to try it and then report back to see if it works. And are you talking about ball pythons, or are you talking about everybody? What species?
Everybody. There's like a crotchety old man on Facebook 2 weeks ago who was complaining about substrate, and he's like, I keep every snake I own on dirt.
Like backyard dirt?
No, like he buys like potting soil mixes, which is mostly peat moss anyway.
Okay. You have to be really careful about like the chemicals and stuff.
Well, like here's the thing, like the fertilizer in it wouldn't hurt anything because it's fertilizer.
Definitely wouldn't fertilize your snakes. So.
Right, but he's just like, but you don't have to buy fertilizer potting soil. But he's just like, it's just like and I don't know if I believe him, but I'm like, a corn snake doesn't care if it's in like soil versus standing chips.
I'm sure it
versus
works.
Whatever.
The pythons with heat pits you'd have to monitor them, because even the Coco soil dirt, I don't recommend. A, it dries out really fast, and B, if you have one that likes to dig, it fills their heat pits, and then they can't sense their food. So I don't know. I like to each their own. Like I said, there is no wrong substrate unless it's the substrate that's wrong for your species. Like no humidity substrate for a ball python is bad, but you guys get what I mean.
What about hognoses wearing hats made out of dirt, Coco? It's like the funniest thing I see.
What?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Oh, okay. I have not seen these hoggies in hats with dirt.
So when they dig around in the dirt, that'll hold its shape.
Oh, it like piles on their head.
Coco. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Oh, that's really cute.
So they keep emerging from their like humid hides with these like little hats, and you're like, that's fucking boopable content right there.
That is. They're so cute. I don't know how anyone could not love a hognose. They are like, they're so cute. I want to squish them.
Let's do some new. Let's do the second ad break before our special guest comes. I don't know anything about substrate. I think it's always like a process to me, where I do one thing and I like it, and then I do something else and I like it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a really personal decision, and it's about what's available to you. It's about what is easily obtainable.
Is fired.
Why is your husband fired?
I don't know. Maybe I should say publicly when he just came in the room and waggled at me.
Oh, I thought he was commenting and I had missed it.
No,
oh, yes, do
he's
tell.
being it.
Christopher, come back and say it on air.
What could a man waggle at a woman? to try to get a reaction out of them.
Well, waggle it on over here. You'll get a great reaction.
We can't be trusted.
No, we cannot be trusted.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Everyone should work on, perfecting their substrate game.
Right.
I do like Coco in a lot of ways for weird stuff like hog noses, like big size chips, because they can dig in that too, but they can't wear it as a hat. Negative.
The hat experience. So that's an important decision-making criteria.
And I've had problems with Sandy chip and getting stuck sheds on tails on corn snakes.
What's Sandy chip?
It's an autoclavable laboratory bedding.
Cool. Is that why you had it? So you could like cleanse it in your autoclave? Do you have an autoclave? I have like
I do not have an autoclave. I am not that rich.
Your equipment.
If I had like a real laboratory rodent breeding operation, you have to for like the germ-free lines of rodents. Otherwise, you'll introduce bacteria to them on the food. Like they can autoclave food.
See, now I want an autoclave. Thanks, Jessica.
Well, you don't want to because that makes your rodent line weak because I
just want one for fun, and so I can say autoclave.
You're gonna autoclave your ex-boyfriends? What do you say?
I'm willing to try anything once.
All right, let's do our second.
Okay, so Stoneage ball pythons, a local guy to us. That's Justin. He's awesome. He has a viral account. He also has this account, which is just for snake content. You can follow him on both. And we are glad that he sponsored the podcast. He is also going to be at our auction on June 3rd. So we will be hosting another Saturday auction. Myself, Chris from BNS Reptilia, and Justin from Stoneage. And he is bringing Cue Ball Morse, which is another breeder local to us who has phenomenal shit. He's like one of those older guys that doesn't really do social media, so nobody really knows who he is, but his collection is like wet dream collection right there. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the auction. I may spend all my marbles there. But thank you, Stoneage, for sponsoring the podcast.
Thank you.
Bravo Zulu ball pythons, Eileen. She is in Belize right now on a trip for school, and she is posting some amazing content, guys. Like, dream trip. This is the trip that she was fundraising for before on our show, and it looks like she's having a phenomenal time. We've been getting updates as well, private messages of what she's been herping, and you just need to go and make sure you're following her, check out what she's doing, throw your support her way. She is a female-run, veteran-run business, and we are glad she supports this podcast. So thank you for your sponsorship, Eileen. Keep having an amazing time. Hopefully, maybe when she gets back, we'll get to talk to her about her trip or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We could sort out scheduling or whatever.
Yeah. Just because I'd like to hear all about it. So you guys might as well listen to. And then Powerhouse Pythons. That's Mr. Andy. This is his husbandry pro. If you are looking for a ball python, check him out. We are happy he sponsors the podcast. If you are PNW, he is the Go for Coco local distributor. So thank you, Andy. I will be hitting you up again soon for that. And
Andrew, is this the snake I sold you?
I don't know. Comment below, Andy. And thank you for sponsoring the podcast.
All right. We have a very special guest.
We have a very special guest.
Please welcome Chris, a.k.a. Mittens, the kittens guy.
Mittens,
hey, everybody.
Hi. Thanks for jumping in on your lunch break or whatever.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Can you guys hear me okay? Is my audio good?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay,
yeah.
Excellent. So how are you guys doing?
Pretty good. It's still early over here.
Yeah, I know. I really enjoyed the substrate stuff. I was watching that earlier. I just switched my snakes to Reptichip. I had been using Reptibark. And I'll tell you, I was using
You upgraded. I swear.
Yeah, but I'll tell you the Reptibark. The thing I loved the smell of it because it's got that nice like fur smell to it.
Yeah, that nice bark smell.
It's very nice, but it wasn't holding the moisture like I wanted.
No,
it like floats away from water.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sure you used Repti chip, and it was probably like difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. But now I'm thinking I got to look at others. Although I don't know about the pre-moistened one.
Yeah, that's kind
cool.
of a deal breaker
Conceptually, for me. Yeah, I just feel like it's got to be super expensive to ship it.
To ship water. Like, why are you paying to ship water?
And also, I don't know where they're adding the moisture, but chemical processes, like I just, I just worry about adulterants getting in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
anyhow,
that's not.
I just wanted to let you know I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Chris can comment, but I know like the pre-moistened. I know everyone loves that word. Coco products made by Repti Chip, he moistens them himself and grades them down and like filters them. So it's like USA water, not
sure
water from Thailand or Sri Lanka or whatever.
Right.
I think
but you can
pet buyers see the like the pre-moistened stuff. Oh yeah.
For pet buyers, yeah, if we could get it locally to like sell to our pet homes, it would be wonderful for them because they can't mess it up. Right. And that's another reason why we talked about breaking it apart dry and wet is that a lot of people like you that just have a hobby collection, I don't know how many snakes you have, but usually people that have like 10 snakes or less, they don't need a 10-pound brick of substrate at one time. They want to be able to break off. What?
A 50-pound block would be way too much.
50-pound bag, way too much. Yes. And so they want to be able to break off a big chunk and just hydrate that so that they don't have a wet, possibly molding substrate just sitting around in their reptile room. And so for some people, the ability to break a piece off, like they don't care about staining, but they just want to be able to grab a chunk and go. And so hopefully people will be able to use that, like I said, to meet their own needs. And it's not going to look the same for everybody. Repti Chip is phenomenal when you come from Reptibark. If you really like that smell, you can like mix some in around that like outside edges, or over on your like hot side. Yeah. Just if you really like the smell, then you would have the added benefit of the humidity that you need and the nice smell.
Though the reality is I only smell it when I'm sticking my head in there to clean up crap, right? It's not like it smells the room.
You're on a podcast and you get to scoop up month-old substrate and give it a good old sniff.
Exactly.
That's love, guys. That's love for you. I did that. All right. So Mittens, the kitten guy, tell us why you were at the meeting.
So as was mentioned, I'm not a breeder. I'm a hobbyist, right? So like lots of people, I kept reptiles when I was young. I am horrified to think about the conditions that I kept these poor reptiles in because I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, keep in mind, I'm almost 50 years old, right? So, I mean, I'm 47. So, there was no internet. There was no, you went to the library to check out a book, right? And I mean, I had a box turtle, and I hate to think about, I did the best I could with her, but looking back, I'm like, I had a Knowles. I had, all very short-lived creatures. Well, except for the box turtle. The box turtle toughed it out. She was a trooper. But
isn't that what your major was on? Is box turtles?
Wood turtles.
Sorry.
Wood turtles.
Continue.
Get it together, Jana.
So, but then I kind of just I moved on with life, and then my daughter adopted 2 White's tree frogs, and all of a sudden,
a Petco purchase? I'm like curious.
No, it was not. It was not a Petco purchase.
I sold them at Petco, so I don't.
Oh, so I did know enough to avoid big box retailers, right? Like I knew that was not the place to get animals. So she adopted them from a Repticon. Actually, we got Yeah, well, no, it was a fire expo. But reptile expo. Yeah. She purchased the 2 of them. So of course I started helping her out in caring for them. So she's 15 right now. So she was like 13, I guess, when she got them. And so I was helping her out, and it just, I just had the bug. I had been bit again, and I was like, oh my God, And so got my first ball python. And I will tell you that my personality, I research things to death before I make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and deep dove into everything I could about ball pythons, and then bought a ball python and looked at all of the and I say this with love, look at all the other reptile weirdos who had 30,000 reptiles and went,
Mm-hmm.
man, these people are weird. And then I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I need another snake. I really need another snake.
And then you're like, oh my gosh, it's me. It's me. I'm talking about me.
That's exactly what happened. So I was like, I need another snake. And then I was like, initially when I got the ball python, I was like, well, I want something that's a reasonable size. And then I was like, okay, now I want something bigger. So I went and got a boa constrictor. So now I have a boa and a ball python. Those are my two snakes. It's just a Colombian boa, like nothing fancy. And what's funny is the guy at the store was so funny because I fell in love with a normal boa, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was so confused because I was like, it's so beautiful. And he's like, it's a normal. And he's like, I know, but it's beautiful. And it was like, there's just the disrespect for the
gorgeous. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, and then I was like, you know what? These snakes are cool, but I don't like that I don't see them much because they're hiding a lot, right? Which I know was like by design. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get a bearded dragon because they're diurnal and they'll be out. And so I got a bearded dragon. I love my bearded dragon, but I'm definitely a snake guy. Like that's definitely
bearded dragons are like the diva of the hobby.
Yes, absolutely.
They are like another child commitment wise. Like
correct.
They want to be your best friend all day long, and it should
yes.
always be about them. Like pamper me, love me, serve me, human.
Yes. And mine actually, he likes food, his food delivered, right? Exactly what you're talking about. He's like, just bring it to me, thank you. So anyhow, so that's how I got, that's kind of the history of how I got into reptiles. Now, I, again, like I said, I'm a pet person, right? I mean, I'm not, that was my interest in it. But started getting familiar with, USARK Florida. The president of USARK Florida, she has a store in Lakeland, Florida here that I shop at regularly, Family Reptiles.
Is that how you learned the USARK Florida existed? Was you just saw it?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So reaching out to pet people at pet stores works in terms of
it works. It absolutely
getting engagement.
Works. Yes.
That's cool.
Yes. It works. And I will be honest that I said, I'm not going to join USARK or Florida. Like I'm not like, again, I was like, I'm not like, it's not a thing for me.
It's not that big of a thing for me. I don't need to be part of the cliquey club.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, like it was, because everybody I saw who was in it was keepers or like breeders, right? That was who was. So, and then April 6th happened. And I watched, and I will be honest that I have living in Florida. We moved to Florida about 8 years ago now. My wife and I, and we moved, and I love Florida for Florida. Like my favorite thing to do is to go out on my kayak in the swamps, right? And just hang out with the alligators. Like that's my favorite thing to do. Like I love it. People think I'm crazy because I love hanging out with the gators, but it's like every other reptile.
You do that in the U.S.
Well, and not only that, they're just another misunderstood, maligned creature, right? Unfortunately. Yeah. But anyhow, so I entered April 5th. Let's put it this way: April 5th, I had a very positive view of FWC because of what they were doing to protect what I perceived they were doing to protect Florida's wildlife.
What you've been allowed to perceive.
Correct. Yeah. Right. Yes. And then April 6th happened. And April 6th was a little weird because, and I say it's weird because generally speaking, in my experience, my life experience has taught me the story you hear first, the real dramatic, like over the top story generally is probably not really what happened. And it's generally some, it backs down. Like as time evolves, it starts becoming more reasonable. This was the first time where I heard the story and it just kept getting worse. Like everything I heard, I mean, I will say the one thing that I heard was, and we probably all heard this in the beginning, that they used a nail gun. That was the first thing that I heard, was that they euthanized this with a nail gun. And that's the only piece of information to date that I've heard that I know for a fact is not accurate, right? We know we know what they used to euthanize the snake, right? It was a captive bolt gun. We know that, but it was like I said, it was spread around that it was a nail gun. And I was activated. I was furious. The more I learned, the more upset I got. And the more I also realized that when I shared this story, even with people who were not necessarily pro-reptile people, they were appalled when they heard it, right? When they hear the reality of the story, they are appalled. And I felt compelled that I had to go speak. I had to go and I had to pack up and drive to Miami and speak and let them know. And the main thing that I wanted to do and what I tried to do, unfortunately, they cut us time-wise, right? We were told we had 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Then they cut us to 2 right at the time. So there was a whole part that I had written that I never got to in the speech because they shut me down. But I felt like I wanted to humanize it, if that makes sense, right? Like I wanted to, that's why I mentioned the name of my animals, right? Because I wanted people to realize that this isn't just snake, right? This is
bad, gross,
my
evil snake.
Right. This is my ball python Kluski, who is a beloved pet, who my family loves, my kids love, we all love. This isn't just, and it shouldn't matter, right? It shouldn't matter,
right.
But I understand that it does. So I really wanted to kind of drive that home and personalize it, right? Because I think that has impact with people, right? And they start to realize that this isn't just that bad, evil snake.
Well, and it did have impact because a lot of us will say, oh, if that had been a dog or if that had been a cat, that this would have gone differently. But when you say that, it has no impact. People just like, whatever, they don't hear you. But when you were like, I would like a permit to shoot Mittens, the kittens, that's the stray cat in my neighborhood that's wreaking havoc on everyone.
Right.
And it had so much power because everybody was like, not Mittens, the kitten, like, who is this bad guy? But if you sit with it, it was powerful what you were saying, the analogy that you were drawing.
Well, thank you. It obviously, I have cats. I love cats. I don't want anything bad to happen to cats, but we have to be honest about cats. We have to be honest about it. And the part that I didn't get to, and I think I mentioned it, but I didn't fully get to it. What I'm trying hard to rack my brain around, if this is about risk and about risk to the native species, then clearly cats should go. There's no question about it. If that's really what this is about. But if it's not about that, then what the hell is it about? Like, that's the part that I get hung up on. If it's not about risk. And so that was the thing. So I work in cybersecurity. I work in IT. I deal with risk all day long. That's what my job is, mitigating risk. Right. The idea that you would approach a situation of a risky situation and you would pick from the middle of the pile of what you're going to address first makes no sense.
Yeah,
right?
Like literally like, what does people hate the most?
Yeah, it's security theater. We're finding something that looks like we're being efficacious when we're not.
Yes. And I would also say, and this may be an unpopular opinion across the board. I don't know. I think,
buddy,
I think we are wasting massive amounts of money on trying to eliminate these invasive species that have already set up.
What?
And yeah, I know. But that's not
sure?
that's not.
Are you sure about your math on that? Because I mean, maybe it's really close.
Yeah.
Really close.
When we accepted globalism, we accepted invasive species, right? We have Cuban tree frogs all over here, right? They are destroying the native tree frog population because Cuban tree frogs will eat anything that fits in their mouth, right? And when I first got down here, I was dutifully, as FWC requested, I was dutifully euthanizing Cuban tree frogs. They were requesting that if you find them, please euthanize them humanely. And they provided a method. And what they wanted you to do was spray them with lidocaine, and lidocaine puts them to sleep, and then you freeze them. Mm-hmm. And I was dutifully doing this because I wanted to save our tree frogs, right? It was the most futile. It was so like I would eliminate one and I'd find 5 more on my house, right? Like life is doing what life does. It outcompetes. Yep. We have brought these creatures here, and this is our fault, and we've got to live with them and deal with them, right? Like, and I'm is it sad that we're going to lose some of our native species? Yeah, it is. But like we made this decision. We got to live with it now, right? Like, I just don't think you're never going to get the Burmese python out of the Everglades. That's not a thing. So can we just stop?
I guess the question is, like, since they have a mandate that they placed on their agencies themselves, like the Endangered Species Act, that they can be sued continuously if they're not acting. Even if an effort is futile, they must pretend to do the effort.
Right.
Yeah, but like you said, why can't they pick on stray cats that are annihilating the native birds?
The question is, like, how do we change their mandate to allow them to pick winners and losers instead of be like, I guess I have to waste all the money on everything until there's no money, and I just picked winners and losers anyway based on popularity contests. But like, especially with global warming, believe it or not, like there will be so many losers. We already need to triage winners anyway. Yes. So we should probably not spend $1 million, eliminating iguanas from suburbs. We should probably buy land at higher elevation to be set aside for panthers because the stuff that's down low isn't going to be there in the next king tide.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is thinking about it, but they're restricted by their own mandate from Congress. So Congress needs to give them a new mandate, like, hey, about that Endangered Species Act, it was bold and fun, but actually, like, you don't have to do that now.
That got some people elected. Maybe we should rethink this. Yeah. Yes.
Well, it was Nixon who passed it, right? So, like, he was like trying to do some good stuff to cover up for some other stuff, but. But it turns out the mandate is too strong. Like, it makes them have to do it. And so then we sue them constantly. And then they're like, dang, I guess I will do whatever. But I saw a tree of heaven seedlings growing on top of a rock pile in the middle of the desert and cactus. And I'm like, tree of heaven's not native, by the way. So, like, the whole ecological landscape is a human landscape. It's the Holocene, right?
Yeah.
So the animals that we've changed, that's the way it's going to be. It's just like, what ecosystem services are those animals providing? Is a Cuban tree frog a functional replacement for the native frogs?
The native tree frogs, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Like, bats can still eat it, and so it's not like a devastating swap. And if we could keep it from expanding or protect islands that have natives, that's cool. But forcing homeowners to, like,
euthanize captive bred pets.
Yeah, have a little froggy internment camp where they're like lining them up.
Yeah, your freezer turns into a.
Well, in fairness, it went from frogs to rats. So it went.
Right.
It's still kind of a horror show in there. But,
my kids don't react anymore, but when I first got into reptiles, they would open it, they'd be like, because they just like the outside freezer is full of rats, but the inside freezer, sometimes I'll like throw a pack in. So I can get it out the next day or whatever. And so they'll open it up and they're not expecting to see it. It was pretty funny for about a year. Anytime I did that, they would freak out. There's dead rats in the freezer. That's how it goes.
I don't know. Life is tough, and Florida is tough because it is a like sea of invasives of all kinds everywhere all the time. So like,
yeah, it's like the hot spot for any reptile. They love it.
I can't wait till like something awesome gets into the macaques that are like free living or whatever, like AIDS or whatever, and then or zombie. Some prion disease, and then it's going to get in all the kids who come there to feed them, and then it's going to be even better. Like that'll be 10 out of 10.
That is one. So I where I live, I'm not far from where the herpes monkeys are.
Yeah, it's hot.
But I went there. I took my kayak there, and I didn't see a single monkey. I was kind of pissed off because I really wanted to see a monkey, and I see all these people posting pictures, but I didn't see any herpes monkeys. So
they were out spreading the herpes to their friends.
Which, by the way, I believe there was either 0 or 1 instance. I think it was 1 instance of those monkeys actually transmitting diseases to humans, and it was in a lab, if I remember reading right, where the person was in direct contact.
Right, literally.
Don't kiss the monkeys, is what you're saying.
Right? Yeah. Yes.
I like it because I don't know. I'm like a bad person, but like if we could go back in time, because we had our own monkeys a couple million years ago. I mean, let's just repatriate the monkeys. You know what I mean? Like our horses went to Asia and then all died here. North America was horse land. So when we repatriated single hoofed mammals, we were just like correcting cosmic wrongs is what I'm saying. So
you're saying that the monkeys need corrected?
Yeah,
cosmically.
Well, all right. Well, so if we want to go back, technically Pangea, everything was native.
Let's go.
Because it was one giant landmass. So you go.
Battle royale.
That's like, all right, I got it.
That's like my favorite part about Appalachia is it's got species families that are like East Asia and Eastern China because of Pangea. So like there are like brothers and sisters from another mother, right? In terms of like deciduous forest ecosystems. And so like I was trained as an ecologist, but to me it's all like water under the bridge. Obviously stop what you can, but if it's here, that's your ecosystem now.
And that's where I'm at. That's exactly where I'm at. Right. Is the stuff that's here, just leave it alone. Like we're not, but anything new, let's deal with it. But and I heard there was someone at the FWC meeting, I believe he was a biologist, I don't remember what his name was, who stood up, who said that something like 80% of the plants in the Everglades are invasive. They're non-native.
Right. In terms of like ecosystem services, it's the plants that are like dictating the trajectory of that ecosystem one way or the other.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But why are we not worried about that?
Right? Because it's not the thing we picked out of the pile.
I know. That's right. And I cannot get my head around that.
Well, and it's hard to use the media to make the population hate plants.
Right. Yeah. It'd be Florida, really hard.
Where you like live there for all the greenery and the fact that everything grows everywhere. Like that's part of the culture as well as the environment. And so to sell that as your pick out of the pile, it's not as sellable as yucky, gross reptiles.
Right.
But even if they are picking reptiles, what really grinds my gears is them picking on the captive bred species and the captive owned species, and they're not picking on like imports and like why are we not like mitigating that end of it and letting the hobbyists just do their thing? Obviously, like you can have fines or whatever if you catch anybody releasing, or they have their pit tagging system. Like, why can't that be enough? Which I feel like a lot of people said at the meeting, like, what we're doing is working. Why can't we just keep doing that?
Right. Yeah, because I forget what the date was, but they said the last time an invasive species was discovered in Florida, and it's been a while. Like it's been a while since
2006.
2006. That's what I was. Yeah. So it's been quite a while. So what we're doing is in prevention. No, I think that's right. I think that's right, because that's what I was thinking, and then I was like, I'm not sure. So when you said it, we'll go with it.
Right.
It became a fact.
It's fact now. Yeah, hell yeah.
I'm gonna edit Wikipedia and put it on there. 2006 was the last time. But yeah, that's where I land. Like and the other thing is, and I'm sure you guys know this, and it was brought up again at the meeting. This invasive population, specifically with the Burmese, had nothing to do with the pet trade. It had nothing to do with the pet trade, not at all. It was a from what I understand, it was a skin facility that was raising Burms for the skin, and it got knocked over with Hurricane Andrew, and something like 900 snakes got loose. And
it was like 820 something, but it was an act of God or an act of nature, like not somebody doing something reckless or irresponsible or with malice. Like they didn't want to lose all their reptiles and their facility. Like that was not intentional at all.
But that information is not known widely
really?
Here in Florida. When I talk to people, the assumption is it's people's pets. They've let their pets loose.
Wow.
And I just like, I want to say, like, can people not realize that if two people release two snakes in different parts of the Everglades is huge. The odds that they'd find each other in the Everglades is
so small.
That's not a thing. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. You'd need to release a large enough population that those that can adapt will adapt and breed right there to start. Like I just don't. And I mean, again, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not a biologist, but it just doesn't make sense to me. The Everglades is too big.
Yeah, I think why we're still getting punished or whatever for that event is like they've looked at the DNA evidence of the Burms that they're catching, and most of them still trace back their genetics to that event. But every once in a while, they'll find new genes, and they're like, "This is like a supplemental animal," and so that's why they keep like blaming us. But I'm like, well, maybe you're just not like sampling enough. I'm sure 1 or 2 Burms were let go.
Absolutely.
In this sequential 30 fucking years.
Yeah, of course.
But they wouldn't have done good if there wasn't
all the other ones.
Like bolus of animals. And I think most people who release or accidentally lose their snake are releasing it in an urban area or a park that's like in an urban area. So most of those animals are recovered right away. Like if it's an accidental or like I left a boa outside or whatever.
But even
most of those animals are recovered quickly.
Introduction of new genes, they're all tagged now, or supposed to be tagged now.
Supposed to be.
So it's like if they're not tagged, then like everybody who's following the rules, why are they being punished? Because their snakes are all tagged.
Right. It's not fair, but they want no one to do it anywhere. I mean, I'm not on their side. I'm just telling you why they continue to think we're.
Oh yeah, I didn't think you were on their
side.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah, but again, that if that breeding population didn't pre-exist, those single releases would be no impact.
Right. No, they would have been eaten right away or hit by a car.
Yes.
But it's like no amount of regulation or prevention could have prevented that act from occurring. Like no laws. I mean, I guess that's their whole point is like we got to get rid of them all because nothing can prevent them from getting out. But literally a fluke situation, a fluke environment does not mean we should never have reptiles ever again in Florida. Like it's just ridiculous the extreme that they took it to.
Yeah, or like why did they ban scrub pythons? No, I don't even think a scrub python has ever been even found released on accident because they're just so rare, period. Mm-hmm. But they were put on the injurious species list because they're biggish.
Because we can.
Big. They're not even that big. I mean, bigger than 10 feet sometimes. So like, it was literally a war of attrition on biggishness, the injurious species list, and then the ban list in Florida.
But why aren't boas on that list then?
Yeah, that's what
why
I was
aren't boas on that list?
They were, and then we asked them not to be because they actually have like a market. My phone's ringing. I don't know if y'all can hear it.
Yeah, we can.
That's my fucking ringtone.
Did it say something about State Farm?
No, Snake Farm. It's the song
Snake Farm. Got it.
It's like sure sounds nasty. It's my husband's Every time he thinks about what I do for a living, he's like, ew. So he thinks of that song. Anyway, sorry for interrupting. So boas were on it, and the boa price dropped in 2013 when they were on the federal injurious species list. And they were like, please don't. Boas are actually like an important component of the retail market. And they're like, money's okay. And so they dropped all of boas off. So that was enough of a reason because they're kind of big, but not huge.
No, but
and
they're
so
big.
Yeah, but they're not. But so they could happen. They could go back on the injurious species list.
Right. But then I want something that I would love to own that I never will is I would love to own a dwarf reticulated python. Right. Or like a super dwarf retic.
Would you move to Georgia to own or something?
No.
That was a big no.
I can't. I love Florida swamps way too much. Like
what about Louisiana swamps? They're looking fresh this time of year.
Yeah, no.
That's a big no. That's a big no.
It's a big no. Yeah. Not just to, I'll enjoy vicariously through others, but I would, just because they're so damn intelligent, I would just love to have, they're beautiful and intelligent and
you should just go get like a colubrid that's smart. They're even smarter than.
Well, so that's what I.
Yeah,
so,
they'll do puzzles and stuff, but better than a retic will.
Really?
Yeah.
Which colubrids? Like which?
I would say Eastern Indigo, but you can't have those either. So we'll get you like a Crebo or something.
And I don't want to. When I heard about Eastern Indigo painting walls with their shit, I tapped out. I was like, nope, not interested.
Not for me, thanks.
Yep. They're like a Cobra level intelligence. Like they recognize differences in people, not just people, right?
But they spray shit.
Well, we got to take some wins.
Buckle up.
Take some L's.
Suit on.
I can't. I can't. Like the thought of them painting the inside of the enclosure.
It's all that
fit for me too.
The runs, Just put them on like kitty litter, and then it'll just like. I'm kidding. Don't put them on kitty litter.
It'll clump in kitty litter.
I'm like this close to like committing to yellowtail Crebos again, even though that's
really
a mistake too. Yeah, I just like them. They're just
so really cool,
attractive. I need like a 10-foot enclosure though.
Yeah, I worry that I don't have enough experience to handle one. I'm the green member of this party, but they're amazing in real life. Like really beautiful.
Yeah,
I think black lips too. Those are really amazing snakes.
I think size wise.
I don't know what you were trying to say. I was trying to figure it out.
Sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Size wise, I think the boa is about as big as I'm gonna go. He's gonna get to be a big boy. He's still really young right now.
But boas are solid. Like you have a couple of these as a pet or a breeding pair or whatever, because they're big, but they're not like crazy.
No, they're not. They're not crazy big. They're not crazy big. But we do have a kitten here now. That is not Mittens.
Mittens, okay.
And no, it's not. It's not Mittens. But it's the first time I've ever had a little bit of concern because while I don't think my boa could eat the kitten, I know my boa could end the kitten.
I could try in my mind. For sure.
Yeah,
he would give it a shot.
My Chihuahua, when she still was here, would like just walk past boa cages and they'd be like, close to the right size. I'll try.
I could probably get that down.
Don't let your little. Okay, is the kitten nearby? I need kitten time.
I can go get the kitten.
Yeah,
hold on a second.
Go get
Let me
the
go get her.
kitten.
Yep.
Go get Mittens.
Thank you. And we'll need the real name.
Oh no, it's just Mittens.
Chris keeps sending me like kitten stuff from Reddit, and I'm like, stop it. I know it's like kitten season, and there's kittens all over the place needing adoption. He's like, look at this one, it's fat. I'm like, I know.
Get him a kitten.
He wants me to have a kitten.
But that really means he wants a kitten.
Yeah, there's some sort of passive aggressive married thing happening here. Oh, kitty!
Right, so little.
So her name is actually Kirby.
Oh, that's cute.
Whoa, where are you going? And she's like 7 or 8 weeks old. She's really young. She was a stray. showed up in somebody's bushes. Mom was nowhere to be
he's
found.
not shooting Mittens the kittens. He's
No,
taking
I'm
her
not.
in.
Yes, that's yes.
Yeah.
But
Sucker
this
for a
is
cute face.
but this is boa chow. Like I have no doubt that this size
Oh,
is
yeah.
boa
Oh,
chow.
it's perfect boa chow size.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
good eating.
Yep. So let me go put her back. I'll be right. I'll
Yeah,
be right
thank
back.
you for bringing her. I
Because
love it. 10 out of 10.
She's a handful. So
Oh man, I'm glad Mittens the kitten guy, Chris, also just adopted a feral kitten. Also,
perfect is
what
that?
service to the state of Florida Chris has been doing?
I feel like Florida can really turn it around if we had like
10 more
100,000 more like you.
Yeah.
well, and to that end, I have joined USARK Florida now,
Good
and would
job.
encourage. And I am a paid member of USARK Florida, and I would encourage everyone who can donate to please donate.
Mhm.
Lawsuits are super expensive, and they are involved in multiple lawsuits. Lawyers are super expensive, and you know, and they, you know, from what I have been told, the board is kind of personally funding most of the activity.
Mhm.
So please donate to USARK Florida. And I know that's part of the confusion too, is that USARK Florida is a separate organization from USARK. And so I know there were people who were, when this was all going on, and donate to USARK too. I'm not saying don't donate to USARK, but Florida is involved in a legal battle right now, and they need the cash.
Yeah, we had that clarification. Was that last week?
When Daniel was on?
When Daniel was on,
Yeah.
Couple
he
weeks ago.
clarified that for us that they
Yes.
really do need this fund specifically to go to USARK
They
Florida.
do. And again, I'm not saying don't support USARK because
Right,
I think,
no,
you know,
but for right
they're
now,
super important. But
especially
right
if
now,
you've been impassioned by the Holy Thursday massacre, then
Yes.
put your money where it's going to help that situation.
right. And no amount, I'm sure no amount of donation is going to get turned away. So if you send $1, I'm sure they'll be overly joyed to get that $1. So, and
or skip your Starbucks this week and send it over.
Right. Because I do know that this is, like I said, they've got good lawyers, and they're paying the price for those good lawyers.
Well, and it's important to remember that even though Florida is a unique environment and habitat for reptiles, in our country, it's a trickle effect. And so things that happen in Florida leave room for things to happen elsewhere. And so it's really important to make sure that we stop anything happening there so that it doesn't trickle down and also affect the other states.
And oddly, despite the fact that we just spent 15 minutes talking about the fact that we can't get our hands around this invasive species problem, from what I understand, Florida is considered the expert at this. Yeah, right.
That's really cute.
So that's supposedly why Florida matters, right? Because everybody's gonna imitate what we do.
Exactly.
I don't know if that's actually true, but I suspect it's just we're the experts just because we have the most. Not necessarily because we're the best at dealing with it.
Just because it's like the hub, the reptile hub of the entry point for a lot of species that are getting imported, right, Jessica?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean the Miami International Airport used to be like the customs for everything to come in first, but now, and then it was New York and stuff too. But it's still the case; they'll land there, but they don't actually necessarily come out.
No, nobody shows their reptiles; they just show their paperwork.
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service will do it, but then it won't enter Florida. It'll get on a different plane and go to a different, which is bad business for Florida, right? So are you? Yeah. Do you feel like you've been included in the reptile community? Are you going to Daytona? Even though you're not like
yes. Let's talk about Daytona. Let's talk about Daytona, because I know I was busting your chops about Daytona. Don't be afraid.
I'm scared
to come to Daytona. Don't. So
stop and frisk Jana. That's what's going to happen.
I'm gonna have something illegal. I know it. I won't even touch anything, and I'll be like, they're like, I'm gonna arrest you, man.
They're gonna
I'll be
plant
like, yeah,
geckos on Jana, illegal geckos, and then they're gonna have to stop and frisk. But keep going.
That's all right. So I've not been to Daytona. This will be my first year going to Daytona. I booked my hotel already, so I'm excited about going. But I will tell you, I've been to multiple Repticons, fire expos, all the different expos, and have never seen an issue. I've never seen an issue. Not to say it doesn't happen, because I've heard stories of it happening, but I just want, I don't want people thinking that they're going to, that they're going to walk in the door, get strip searched by FWC, and you know what I mean?
Like, it's that kind of party.
It's, yeah.
I mean, some people might like that part.
Yeah, right. Well, they're not that bad. And so, I don't want people to be afraid to come. And I also, I don't want it to become a self-fulfilling prophecy where people are afraid to come to a reptile expo. So our reptile expos start to suck because they're not coming here. And then the hobby starts to die. And then pretty soon nobody cares if they ban snakes. Right. I don't want that to happen either.
Right. Jana, so are you going to Daytona after such an impassioned speech?
Yeah.
After such an impassioned speech, I will be going to Daytona just as soon as I launch that OnlyFans page to pay for it. So maybe never. I would love to go. I lived in Florida. I lived in Boca for about 18 months with my sister when I was a teenager, and absolutely loved it. I mean, got off the plane in March from dreary 6 months of rain, Washington, to beautiful beaches and sunshine, and it was literally I got off and the heavens sang, and I was just I feel like I'm home. And I loved the weather. I loved my nephews were little, 6, 4, 2, and they would canoe with the alligators, and I freaked out the first time I saw them doing it. And my sister was like, "Oh, they're fine." And they're little, and they're in their little canoe, and they're looking for their pet alligator that lives in their back canal. Yeah. And she was like, "Oh yeah, that we do it all the time." And I'm just like, "Why are you letting your kids boat with an alligator?" It was so shocking to me. But I just absolutely have this huge soft spot for Florida in my heart. And so it really sucks what's happening there. And it really sucks what the future is looking like for Florida if we aren't able to stop this. Because I do have it on my, I would love to live there forever bucket list. But as a reptile breeder, and that being my thing, that's not an option right now. I could never do that. Wouldn't be a good business decision at this point. Right. And so I really love to see that turns around, because I really
could be a mermaid.
Florida. You could be a mermaid.
You could.
That's right by me. That's right by me. Wikiwachi. It is. I'm real close to Wikiwachi.
Then you won't sell snakes. You just have some capacity, but you will just be a mermaid. This will replace OnlyFans, right? Your job will be mermaid.
Even know what you're talking about right now.
What do you mean? Let's go.
You don't know the Wikiwachi mermaids?
No.
Let's get some pictures up here. They're awesome.
I have no idea what you're talking about. It's literally you're speaking French right now.
So there's a spring, a natural spring up here that is absolutely beautiful. And at the spring head, there's a state park located there. And for years and years, as a Florida tourist trap, they had a mermaid show where you could go into this underwater theater.
They don't have it still? Or they...
No, they do. They do. But it's
like the 60s or something.
Yeah. It's still kicking around. But I mean, it has its origins in that the old Florida tourist trap kind of thing,
where you get a gator with the purchase of 5 pounds of peanuts or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. But so they still do it. They still do they do mermaid shows. You go sit.
I'm saying Jana is going to be a mermaid. OnlyFans is for scrubs. Okay, this is
high class.
All right, high class.
This is high class. Yep.
And they actually pay regularly.
Yeah, it's like a wage.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And apparently, it is incredibly competitive to get in to be a mermaid. That's a big deal.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm like the kid that was taught how to swim because my brother threw me off the dock while we were fishing. Kind of a swimmer, not really like a competitive mermaid swimmer girl. She's literally applying for me to go.
I just wish Florida has other problems, mostly.
Yes, Florida's got a lot of problems.
Or whatever, but it is like a magical, fun, weird place.
Florida's friggin' weird,
unique.
and that's what I love about it. Is it's friggin' weird.
It's friggin' weird, but it's also kind of amazing.
It
and
is.
you can be a
and-
mermaid and get paid.
Yeah.
Can't do that anywhere else in the country that I know.
Sign autographs as a mermaid. Just think about that.
Just do birthday parties. You don't even need
Oh
to
my
get
gosh,
wiki
my
watchy.
kids would like worship me. I would finally be cool to my kids.
Just just roll up to somebody's pool and then have a helper carry your ass in because you can't walk in your tail. And this
No, if you can't walk in
But
your
see-
tail, get it the hell out. You better be able to walk in that tail.
the tails are expensive. You won't want to break the silicone.
But see, I want the awkwardness of the image of trying to get into the house in a tail.
Or just like porpoising along as you drag your
You gotta practice my worm, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, what's your
Yes.
mersona gonna be?
Mine?
Yeah, what's your like mer girl?
I don't know.
Are you like sea queen of the?
No, I'd be like a siren or something. So are there any
you
like
lure 'em
famous
into their
sirens?
deaths?
I'd
Yeah,
lure them into
that's
their
right.
deaths, yes. And eat them or whatever.
All right, Jana, you look into that. Let us know your mer person name or
I
whatever.
will work on it dutifully. Not
Chris,
at
do
all.
you want to be a merman?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. No. That's all right. I actually, so this is so keep it like, and I love WikiWatchy. Don't get me wrong. I love WikiWatchy. I think it's great. But I like the springs are hugely popular down here. So they're incredibly crowded and almost completely devoid of wildlife because of that. So I tend to avoid the springs and prefer the swamps. So
The swamps.
the
The
You just
springs
like boat
are,
out the WMA or whatever and just putter around.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, that's what I do. So, and actually, I'll tell you a story that I'll share with you real quick that about Florida being weird, and how I knew this is right where I belonged, which is why I wouldn't move to Georgia.
He is a Florida man now, officially.
I am.
Yep.
Yes. Well, and this may convince you that I earned that card. So, for several years ago, my wife got me a fossil hunting trip for a Christmas gift. Right? There's a gentleman here in Arcadia who actually has, I think it's a horse. He found one of the horse fossils, one of the unknown horse fossils, and it's in a museum. He's an amateur, like he's not a professional. He's an amateur, but this is his business. And like I said, he does have at least one fossil that got into museums that he found it. And I think it was a horse. Anyhow, we were supposed to be going to the Peace River to go looking for megalodon teeth. Okay. That was what the trip was supposed to be. Well, unfortunately, the Peace River was running a little high. So he's like, we can't go there, but it's cool. I've got this awesome spot in this cow pasture where we can go and find other fossils. So there's a whole group of us that goes. Okay. Most of them were not locals. Most of them were tourists who were just down. The Discovery Channel did a thing on this guy. So people know about him. So they were down there, and he positioned my wife and I in. So we go, this river is a river stream through the cow pasture. It's about chest deep at its deepest spot. And
so you're just snorkeling?
Well, I waded in.
Oh, you're just wading, right?
Okay, I wait. What you're doing is you wade in and you go with a shovel and you shovel and you have a sifter, right? And you're sifting the stuff and then picking stuff out. And he put everybody else is on the shore. He puts us in the water. Okay. Now, I generally had a rule of previous to, like, I'm staying out of fresh water because it's going to have a gator in it. I'm staying out of fresh water. Okay. But for some reason, when this guy was like, just get in the water, I was like, okay.
Okay.
And so we get in the water, and he keeps coming over to tell us things that he's not telling the other group. Okay. Like he would wander over, and he's crazy Florida man, like no doubt about it. He's got his dog on his shoulder. Like his dog is, and he comes over to us and he's like, hey, you guys are from Florida, right? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, okay, cool.
Yeah. You're ready.
You're
ready.
So again, I'm in chest deep water. We're digging around, and he goes, do you have your shoes on? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, you should totally take those off because you'll be able to feel the rock piles better. And I'm like, okay. So I take my shoes off. So now I'm barefoot, standing in chest deep, tannin rich water. I can't see anything. You can't see anything in it. So I'm digging for fossils, and then I start feeling something like touching me. And I'm like, what is that? So speaking of invasive species, so he comes over, and I was like, hey, by the way, something just brushed up against me. Do you have any idea what it might have been? And he's like, oh, that's a plecostomus. He's like, they're checking you out. So we have invasive plecostomus.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cool. Don't tell Florida I said that.
I mean, I like seeing them.
They're
neat.
They're big.
Okay, I need you to Google that, Jessica.
It's like a pleco is like a big sucky
It's a
fish.
sucker fish. Yeah, it's like the fish that like clean algae off. You see them at every aquarium store.
Oh, like
they're like stuck to the glass.
They're like plecos, right?
Yeah,
plecos. Yeah. Yes, plecostomus.
Jana knew what it was. She just didn't know the full name.
I just didn't recognize the name.
But they are loose in Florida because technically.
Yeah, there's like a guy that has a channel and he like literally just like catches those for fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So those things are checking me out and so again, I don't get out of the water. I still stay in the water. And then a little bit later,
tourist would have just been like out of there.
Yeah, well, smart people probably would have been out of there.
They're spiky too, the big ones, right?
They are, but they were literally like coming up and taste testing me and then moving on. Like that's what you felt.
Yeah, people pay for that service, so like,
right? Yeah,
it's fine.
So finally, he comes over to us and again goes, "You guys are from Florida, right?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay, I wanted to tell you." He's like, right around the corner over there where the river bends, there is a gator that lives there, a female gator. So I just wanted to let you guys know. And again,
you stayed in the water.
Just us, because we're the ones in the water. All the tourists are on the shore, right? We're the ones in the water. And so again, I went, okay. And I should have known at that point that I was right where I belonged, right? Like that should have been my clue. Like you are Florida man, sir. you need to stay right where you are. Yeah. So
did your wife stay in the water too, or did she hightail it out of there?
Nope, she stayed too. You could not pry her out of Florida. You couldn't couldn't do it. And now her big love of Florida is the birds. She loves the birds, right?
And we've got those everywhere.
Yes, and the sandhill cranes, and just dinosaurs walking around, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I love the sandhill cranes.
Well, and like most people's backyards, if they have the canal along their back of their property, is literally like a wetlands preserve.
Yeah,
and you just sit in your Florida room, which is like I wish they had those in Washington, like. Everywhere should have Florida rooms. Like that was literally like my favorite thing about Florida is the outdoor spaces that were screened in and amazing. And I'm like, why is this not happening anywhere else in the world? And you can just hang out back there and you can see such amazing things literally in your own backyard without even trying.
Yes. And
you can see I have a pond under the rock you flip in your front yard that is near your.
I caught a garter the other day. Did I tell you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Why do you forget things you talk about on the show?
Wow.
I have been trying to catch one I can find them. They're so fast. I haven't been able to catch them. Okay. Now I'm quick enough. I caught a baby one yesterday too when I was mowing the lawn. I rescued it and moved it from where I was mowing.
Okay. Good job, Jana.
Don't hate. Okay? I'm a new herper.
Okay.
Love on the new people, Jessica.
You're doing great. 10 out of 10. Chris, what were you saying?
So I have a pond in my backyard, and it's my backyard butts up to a pond. I don't want to make it sound like I have a palatial estate that has a pond in the backyard, because that is not the case. But we got gators back there, and yeah, it is. It's kind of like Lauren Green's Wild Kingdom sometimes in our backyard.
Yeah.
And,
are you in Central Florida? I don't mean to interrupt, but okay, because I know you were near Wiki Watchy, but I was like, maybe he thinks near is 3 hours away. I don't know.
No. I'm in Wesley Chapel. So I'm between Tampa and Wiki Watchy, right? Like I'm like right in the middle there.
I was born in Dunedin. Not that it matters. I lived in Lutz.
I'm very close. I'm very close
Yeah.
to Lutz. Yeah. I'm very close to Lutz. Yep.
Yeah. Bunch of Florida nerds. God.
Yeah.
You are Florida born. You have a
Yeah.
Florida birth certificate, and you're over here hating on my love of Florida for the
I'm not
last
hating
18
on
months.
your love of Florida.
And you're just now admitting this. I have known this woman for years, and I did not know that. And I talk about Florida, and she rolls her eyes.
I wanted
every
to get
time.
into the University of Florida for herpetology, and they declined me because I was too stupid.
That's
so
why you hate Florida.
fuck them. All
The
right, I'll be
truth
right
comes
back.
out.
I'll be right back. Keep them entertained, Jana.
So if you could be in the homes of other hobbyists like yourself in Florida, what would you want to tell them about what's happening and about US Arc Florida and
I mean,
what you want
yeah.
from them?
I like I said, first of all, money. They need money. That I don't there are limits to how much individuals can fund this, and like I said, I do think that from what I understand, the board is doing a lot of personally funding this.
Yeah.
There's that's a small group of people.
It's really
so
small.
yeah.
A huge lawsuit.
Yeah. So definitely consider donating. Join. And they have a free tier membership, and that's great. But if you can afford to, get it a paid membership so that you're sending a little cash their way.
And do they also send a T-shirt like the regular US Arc?
Not that I know of. No.
Okay.
No. So I just if we're not careful, they're going to make us into criminals, right? I mean, that's what
they have.
That's what happens. Yeah. And that's that. Yeah, I'm not okay with that, and I hope others aren't either. And I just get involved. I would like to see Barretto gone. I'm not a fan at all of that gentleman.
You, me, and everybody.
Yeah, I would like, but he's an appointee, so
right.
we are kind of powerless to get rid of him. Now, we may be losing our governor here. I don't know, and that's Barretto's connection, from what I understand. So,
so that could be a positive step in the right direction.
It could, a positive step for us, maybe bad for the rest of the United States. I don't know. Not to get political, but I'm not a DeSantis fan. So, I'm not
following the politics. I just follow the US Arc stuff. But
you don't like old pudding fingers?
No, I'm not a big fan of pudding fingers. No. No, and if that was the worst of it, I'd be 100% behind pudding fingers. But
yeah, we try to avoid politics, but I also hate them too. So
yeah,
everybody unsubscribe. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Blame me. It's my fault.
They unsubscribed long before you. Too many curse words and sexual innuendos, but we try to keep it light over here.
Yeah, women are supposed to be quiet, Jana.
Yeah, in the kitchen, barefoot, knocked up,
pregnant, right away.
So speaking of that, and I'm curious about this. How is this? I am surprised. I will say I have been surprised as I've gotten closer to the hobby, the number of women that are involved in the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
I am surprised, and I don't know. Again, I come from like I said, my roots are in a tech. I work in tech, right? It's a male-dominated field, and how is it for women in the hobby? Like, is it?
Well, you could look at our subscriber numbers and then look at all the other reptile podcast subscriber numbers, and that'll tell you something right there.
Okay.
We have a third of the subscribers, and I don't think that our content is lacking in any way. And in some cases, I think it's even better than some of the ones that have 2,500 followers. There's just like a base 2,500 that most of the podcasts get right away. That we just, I don't know if it's a conservative base or it's the fact that it's two women talking and we obviously don't have anything intelligent to say, or if it's because we're not safe for work. Like it's hard to tell, but it is interesting to be a woman in the hobby that is male driven. Sometimes it can be sketchy.
I'm sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how PG I need to be with you, but like
Me?
you
don't need
buy
to
a
be PG
snake
with me, but...
from someone and they think that that's enough reason that they can hit on you and send you dick pics and
okay.
proposition you because you bought a snake from them.
That's just dudes.
That's just dudes.
That's just dudes. Yeah.
And so, or you get disregarded because you're a woman. But I think that there is like a positive change happening. We're seeing more women on podcasts. We're seeing more women president. U.S. Arc Florida president's a woman. We're seeing more presence. We're taking up more of our own space. And people are scooting over and making room for us. Some people are fighting it and stuck in their ways, and they're the people that have been in it, from the beginning or whatever, and they're just like dudes only club. But diversity is happening, whether anybody likes it or not. And so for the most part, I feel like it is turning around, and they're making room for us, but we've had to earn those steps forward, whereas anybody else that's a dude bro just has to show up. So there is a lot of like proving that you have to do. And I mean, for what you see on the podcast, like I'm pretty goofy and airheady and like that, but it's like in real life, like I have to be really professional, and I have to be really like on my game, or I get completely
you're held
disregarded.
to a different standard. Yeah.
Right. Because if you want to be here, you have to prove that you have the right to be here just because you're a woman. But that happens, I feel like, in any male-driven hobby.
Well, I think the composition is different than in cybersecurity tech or whatever, where it's like on intake, it's like 80-20. Like, I feel like this hobby is almost 50-50 if you could go to a show and look at the number of vendors and buyers.
There's so many
It's
women.
just like the representation maybe on social media looks male heavy, but like the females are all like pet keepers or YouTubers or whatever.
Right.
Not as many of them want to be like businesses, but there are a lot of them too.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it looks more biased than it is. I think cybersecurity is probably still insanely biased in terms of participation. Yeah,
it is incredibly biased. Yes, absolutely, incredibly biased. And I will say the reason, like I said, my daughter is very much into her amphibians and my reptiles, and she's got an interest in biology, and I don't know what that looks like for her in the future, but I just wonder.
Good. Punch her now. Right. Punch her right in the face right now. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I encourage that. I feel like
punch her right away. The problem is, it's like organismal level sciences are over. Basically, they're over.
You think?
So,
you think?
Yeah, I was there. I saw it being over while it was there.
Just lack of employment. I mean, is that what it comes down to? It's just nobody.
You have to wait for somebody to die.
Yeah, it's worse than that, because they'll be like, you need to write let's say you're like, I like fucking frogs or something, and they're like, too bad. So instead of you liking frogs, the only grants you're ever going to get from the National Science Foundation or whatever, they're that size, like robust enough, would have to be like landscape modeling for the species based on some new GIS data. So it's about frogs-ish, but it's really about proving the science out on some new DRG that you could actually interpolate. It's something so not about frogs that you're not a frog scientist anymore. The organism is a model for some sort of application. That's how you get your National Science Foundation grant. That's why I'm like, organismal science is dead. It's like ecosystem level or genetic or bacterial or whatever. Those people get lots of money and do great. They're like NASA will be like, hey, go figure out if we can grow plants in 0G. $500,000 grant for your lab. You can carry 2 or 3 grad students. Right. And if she wants to do that, that's cool. I'm just telling you, like, ecology, natural history, it's over.
Yeah.
That's like hobby stuff.
She's not bitter at all.
So bitter. Devastated.
I don't know. I think whenever we can encourage girls
drown
or women
all
in
of
the
those
hobby.
feelings deep down
Shut
inside.
your mouth. It's my turn to speak, Negative Nancy. I have 3 daughters myself. And so I just love when I see women in any capacity in the industry, whether it be in the sciences or in the keeping side of the hobby, or women pet store owners, just anybody that's there and that is making just even a little bit of noise. I love that, because then I can show my daughters, look, you can do this too. So we are big, huge snake discovery fans in my house, and watch it as a family. And my oldest wants to grow up and be her, and having that representation matters. And I think that it is bringing in like a whole generation of young girls, and it's making it okay for them to like snakes, to like frogs, to like lizards, because I feel like culturally it's not as encouraged as like, oh, a boy brings in a snake, that makes sense, but a girl brings in a snake and they're weird, like
right.
There's a stigma in the culture about it, and I feel like she's turning that around, and I think that's really encouraging. And so if your daughter is interested, obviously research the job options before you go to college.
Yeah, I don't care if you want to do it for fun, but I think it's wrong to tell a child to go to organismal biology. Period. It's like saying go get an English major. Go be a writer.
Hey, my undergrad is English lit.
Right, and then you're like, fuck. Better go learn some cybersecurity masters real quick.
Put your foot in your mouth and stop talking, Jessica. Come on.
No, he knows it's right. Like I'm saying, if you did your bachelor's in biology or whatever, your master's was in like public relations, you do a really good job. Like, I don't know, like working for a tech, like a bio firm, like figuring out their social media or whatever. Like you could actually make it more interesting, your life, and still make money and live. But it's just not a thing anymore.
Yeah, and the English major isn't necessarily so. When you come out with an English degree, it's communication skills, right? Essentially, what you come out with, we translate across the board, generally speaking. So so it's a little different,
useful,
right?
You jerk.
And I have had
Jana. How many colleges have you been to? Sorry, Chris, keep going.
That's all right. And I have been told that's something that sets me apart from my peers, right? As the computer dorks that don't want to talk to people, right? I went to school and got an English degree.
It is extremely weird to see an IT guy get up in front of a national crowd and speak his piece when you're not being forced to for some sort of job.
Right.
That's not a requirement.
Right.
So it's pretty cool, that you're
outgoing
and like
I do credit the English degree. I do credit the English degree for that. So, yeah.
Jason May says he has an unused biology degree.
It's not that weird to be like, use your bachelor's to gain just skills, period, and then specialize after that, even if it's something not really related, because it's just helpful. But I've met an awful lot of bartender ornithologists and meteorologists, and I'm like, fuck, are you okay, buddy? Yeah. How's that going? He's like, yeah, it was 2 years ago. I was tagging peregrine falcons in Wyoming, and now I'm crying inside. And I'm like, I don't know. I just like, people need to figure out how to leverage their skills, no matter what they are. And obviously, animals are cool, and we all love them. But everybody getting a bio degree because they want to be an organismal biologist is not fair to the people who do it, including me.
Right.
$60,000. Sorry. This has gotten really weird.
Welcome to the Holdback Rack podcast. How did you find us, if I may ask?
So it's an interesting story. So it turns out my daughter actually knew about you guys because
how old is she again?
Oh no, go to school. Go to school.
She's 15. So
well, it's better than my 10-year-old who listens.
yeah. So but she took a video productions class, and she did her final project on ball python care and how it has changed over time. And so that was what her presentation was on. And when she was doing research, she came across one of your videos. She told me what it was beforehand, and I don't remember now what it was on, but she actually was, took information from you guys to include in her, in her
That's
video.
amazing.
So that was, and that I didn't know about that.
Sorry
and
about
then,
the F-bombs.
No. It's words. It's words. She lives in a fairly liberal household as far as that goes. So
Very good.
Use only when appropriate.
Right. That's what I tell my kids.
Right. I egregious F-bombs, no. But at 15, no. But when it's appropriate, I'm okay with it. And then initially obviously I didn't get to see myself speak. And I had people ask me who were like, hey, is there a way I could watch? And when I Googled, you guys were the first one that came up that were covering it. So I watched it. So
Google doesn't hate us.
No. So you were the first one that came up. So I watched it, and then I went and watched a couple back episodes. And so now you guys have been added to my watch list. So
well, we appreciate you coming. I mean, we were super excited. I know that I was impacted by what you said, and very excited to see you having nothing to do with any of the organizations that were there. You were just there as a person. And like I said, what you said had impact to me and made what we were trying to say have impact to others. Because like I said, if you say, oh, if it was cats, everybody would care and people just brush you off. But how you put it, like, let's shoot all the strays. People have a knee-jerk reaction to that. And that's what we're trying to say is that's how we're feeling right now. Like somebody just shot a bunch of kittens. And so these are kittens to us. Like they're that same emotional value. And I think you just said it so beautifully, even though you got cut short.
That English degree came in clutch.
It was fire. It was all worth it for that 2-minute speech.
Right. We trained for years.
for those 120 seconds. Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And I will say, and I looked at the time and I got to get back to work before I am no longer no longer gainfully employed.
But you'll be a mermaid also, so you need to work on your mirror suit.
I will. So immediately when you said that, I don't know, are you guys familiar at all with Aqua Teen Hunger Force? The TV, the cartoon? Okay. I'm imagining if it was me, it would be Carl in a mermaid tail, right? Like just imagining Carl in a mermaid tail, like food stains all over his
we'll have Photoshop.
Yeah.
Can you Photoshop that for me real quick? I'll post it to the whole back Rack Podcast Instagram.
This needs to happen, Jessica. Make it so.
And then make Jana a mer person. If you have time. You got to
work.
I'm telling
you to do it. You to do it.
I don't have Photoshop. I don't fill on to pay Adobe.
I'm not savvy on any technology.
I could do it, but I'm. Yeah, thanks for coming.
For spending your lunch hour with us.
Thank you guys. I really appreciated the invitation. Had a good time.
Yeah, and thank you for showing everybody that every voice counts. I think a lot of the time we can get discouraged and feel a little lost when it comes to like politics or like big changes. And then maybe there were some people who wanted to speak but felt like, oh, I'm not the president of such and such an organization, so I shouldn't speak. You should all be speaking. All your voices need to be heard. And I think that you represented like the everyday Floridian, and that was really needed to humanize these animals as pets. Because for you, that's all they are. And
that's all they are.
And that's all they've ever been for you. And so it was just such an important moment for the committee and the people that were watching to see that. And I know I really appreciate it. I don't know if anybody else has reached out, but it was great. And we laughed. And I mean, it was really great. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys. And thank you for the podcast. And like I said, I'm learning stuff. So I appreciate it. And,
don't worry. You're going to get in deeper. It just keeps getting deeper.
Right, we'll see what happens in a year.
You're about to fall off the cliff of the reptile realm. You can't just have two. 3. You can't just have
3.
3.
Well, I know,
Right.
I confess that there is a 4th that I would like to add.
What is
It's
it?
happening.
So I really want a bull snake. And I want a bull snake because they're spicy, but it's all bluff, right? Like that's and so when I was actually at Family Reptile asking them, because apparently we don't have a lot of bull snake breeders around here, from what I understand. And it might be because of the brumation. That was what was suggested to me, is that they need to brumate to breed, and that's hard.
Would you
to do
want
in
a
Florida.
pine snake or any Puchuophis, or does it have to be a bull snake?
The bull snakes are the spiciest of the group, right? I mean, that generally speaking.
Yeah. Are you familiar with
some of the
Market?
pines, like Louisiana pines, are screamers. They do nothing. They hide and they just scream.
I don't.
They just like hiss and hiss and hiss when you walk by. So like, is it just like the bluff?
That's too spicy. I want the bluff. So here's what I want. I want the bluff that then I calm down, right? I want the challenge of taking that snake from, because both my snakes, I didn't have that experience, right? Both of them were like, okay, cool, we're going to hang out. But I kind of want that experience of like
taming down a hatchling,
taming it down. Yeah.
I mean, I can send you some spicy boas right away.
No, I don't. That's what.
Don't give her your address. She'll send you a whole case of snakes.
I have a little evil half Nicaraguan shit who I can't sell to anybody because they're like, that's so mean.
That's when I was at Family Reptile asking if they knew of anybody breeding bull snakes. There was the one woman there was like, I've got a rainbow boa. You want spicy? I got a rainbow boa for it. And I'm like, no, I don't want actual spicy. I want bluff spicy.
Yeah,
not like a hog nose either.
Section of bull snakes on Morph Market. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
So if you just check that out, you can even search based on like location. So you would know what breeders are in Florida if you want to support
There's not much
Florida.
in Florida.
I did. Then you might have to go out of state. Here. And have it shipped in.
Well, message Chris because he has all those pines. That's what I was trying to get at.
He doesn't want pine.
He has a lot of pines, but maybe he knows somebody who has bulls also because he's in the pit community.
That's fair. But yeah, they're pretty cool.
Pines stay a little smaller than bulls, don't they? Don't
it just
bulls
depends on which one. There's so many species.
Okay.
But yes, mostly. But some of them are big too. Like I think northern pines slap all day. So like they're just really attractive. And then Depe Jana, I think is the most attractive. So like the Mexican pines, because they have like
the Mexican pines are pretty. Yes. They are.
I'm gonna buy some this year. Don't tell anybody I said
beautiful.
that.
Yeah.
Don't tell the husband, Chris.
He doesn't need to know ever.
He definitely has no idea how many snakes or species they have.
I tell him some stuff. Maybe not all of it. It's just like creative writing, right?
Vin Russo describes Sonoran boas as a boa version of bull snakes.
Boas. Boas as
maybe
a boa version.
I don't know. I have more Sonorans than I do bull snakes, so. All right, we'll let you go.
Yeah. I want something that I can see. I want something that I can see during the day. Right? That's what I want. Something that's going to be visible and hanging out during the day. I mean, I love my
red bull.
I love my snakes, but
are they talking about the drink, or is there such a snake as a Red Bull? I don't know what you're saying.
Do you not want like
there is a red
snake?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Because
I got hung up on bull
out
snakes.
In the open.
What's wrong with him getting a bull snake? Why are you?
He can't find one. That's all I'm on.
No, he can find one.
Well, I can't find one locally. Right. I can't find locally.
He wants to support local industry.
Yeah. He could support I do. The local gray rat snake population, yellow rat snake population.
Yeah.
They're cool. They're
ignore her. You can get a bull snake. It's fine.
Look, 3 litters of bulls right here from the sponsor.
So Chris, BNS Reptilia, he's a sponsor. He's up in PA.
All right.
Jana will drive it down to you.
That's where I'm from, PA originally.
He is going to have 3 clutches this year. Litters. Whatever.
Okay, cool.
But he also has the pines too, so you could ask him questions if you're pine curious.
Well, awesome. Adam is driving up to go to like the
little pine curious
Warfels barbecue. So maybe someone could put a bull snake in Adam's car and then transport it to Florida.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Right. Allegedly.
This plan could work.
Yeah, we'll do a little like underground railroad. Chris says he's all over it.
All right, good. Let's
Awesome.
go.
All right, you better go.
Well, I got to get back to work.
Trouble.
Thank you. Yeah,
All right,
thank
we'll
you very
talk to you
much
later.
again for
Bye.
having
Bye.
me. And hopefully I'll see you in Daytona.
Yeah.
It's probably not Jana. It might be me.
All right. Well,
All right.
All right, bye.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks.
So real quick, do we want to do news or do you want to skip it for next week?
Let's just skip it. I think it's a great place to
I
end.
accidentally
Otherwise,
put
we're gonna
it-
go off on a tangent.
I know, but I accidentally put it in the show discussion.
Then you got to do it.
Look, Northerns are bigger than bulls. Northerns are badass. All right, real quick, let's do this. Just so I don't have to think about it for another week. Look at this snake. It is a hognose morph. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
I can't make it bigger though.
What's wrong with it?
What do you mean? What's wrong with it?
Why is it weird? Why are we looking at it?
It's a morph, a new combo. Super Arctic Sable Lavender.
Wait, so it's like a quad visual? No, a super Arctic is codom, right?
Right, and Sable and Lavender recessive. So it's like a triple visual. But its name is what I want you to decide if it's good or not. Ready? Fierce Grape. I love it so much. It's because they have like Purple People Eater and other funny ones for
Purple People Eater. I kind of like that better, but Fierce Grape, at least you know
it's savage.
What you should be looking at. So I mean, it is correctly named, is all I have to say. It's in the right genre.
His IG, Chris, is the Gator Curator. I just love the name. I saw it on JMG's Discord, and I was like, stop. And then I saw it on here. I was like, okay, well, now I can like publicly discuss the Fierce Grape. I think ball python people need to like figure out.
Get with the program.
Yeah, try not to be cool. Be like cute and fun, then descriptive. So like,
yes.
Like cool is too confusing at this point.
Oh my gosh, I cannot remember all the stupid combo names. Stop it. I hate it. Seriously, I don't want to have Google open just to have a conversation with you. Just say the words.
Did I oh, you're gonna have one at the auction? A northern or a bull? Sorry, that's Chris's IG. Other Chris.
Now there's a lot of Chris's happening.
Uh-oh. Okay. Last thing, let me just bring it up since this one was in the notes. And we'll talk about Herp Social next time. It'll give us another week to like play around in it or whatever and review it. Because we got in.
We got in because we're that awesome.
There might still be codes floating around too. I don't know.
Anymore, but thank you, Billy, for hooking it up.
Clutch released the Desert Ghost test again, or the first time, but it's 100% accurate if it's negative, but only 85% accurate if it's positive. And RGI said they gave Clutch or Morph Market the opportunity to take it like that or wait until it was 99.9, and Clutch released it as is. Do you think that's a good idea?
No.
Straight blast.
6%,
the next one.
5%. Like what? How do you even list that? Are they going to have to open like a new 85% likely positive?
Well, what's happening is it's like picking up some other gene that's nearby. And so sometimes it'll be picking up that and it thinks it's a het, but it's not. It's just like picking up something close. And so sometimes the positive is correct and sometimes it's picking up a neighbor, but it's 85% of the time. So would you want to pay $60 or whatever it is for a single DG test to like be like, is maybe a het.
$60 to go from like 66% to 85%. For me, that benefited me not at all.
Well, I mean, it would benefit you if they were negative, right? Because then you could sell them because you knew for sure they weren't a het.
Nope.
So Jana says no. I thought it was crazy.
Like crazy good or crazy bad?
Bad. I would just not do it.
Same boat as me, and you're like grilling me about it.
I'm the devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate. Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, we're not having a conversation if we perfectly agree every time. So I was just like floored that they even would let it out. Not RGI. They're doing whatever they want, right? But why would Clutch be incentivized to do it unless they're like, if you can knock them out, so you can sell them right away. You don't keep them. If they're negative, they're negative. Even this year's stuff, is that good enough? That's why I'm assuming they're doing it. But then you're not really sure anyway.
Why would you pay for a not sure?
I don't know.
Now you're double not sure.
Maybe what
if it's not negative? I mean, like, no,
So negative is definitely negative if it's negative.
I got it, yeah.
Okay.
And positive is 85% chance that they're right. I that's for me a no.
Okay. I mean, I don't know how many, like, let's say you're a not Justin, but a Justin-like person, and you have 50 holdbacks that you will only keep if they are 100% het desert ghost, because they're like
so
combo.
You're saying that you would be able to let go of some.
Yeah, that would be the reason, right?
So you're holding back less is what you're saying is why it has value.
Yeah, that's it though. That would be the only, you'd have to have a lot and be like, I need to get rid of the third that aren't gonna pop positive because they were all 66%ers or whatever.
Right.
But otherwise you can't sell them as 100% because you don't know. Technically.
Yeah.
But you can only get rid
of
negatives.
Hard pass, thanks.
All right.
You do you though, guys.
I think that's pretty much it. I just wanted to like get that out there because that launched this week. We'll play around on Herp Social. Or I'm on ReptiPost. Jana's on ReptiPost. Have you been on there a lot or just a little bit?
I'm not on ReptiPost.
I swear to God, I got a friend request from you on ReptiPost. Is somebody pretending to be Jana?
I don't know. I don't think I'm on ReptiPost. Maybe I'm on ReptiPost. If I'm on ReptiPost, I'm not really on ReptiPost. I may have just like signed up and then that was it. And then forgot.
Do you have any intention of pursuing other social media platforms besides the ones you don't attend that much currently?
It says I've been on the site before. Oh,
yeah, you friend requested me. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, I see I'm on it. Jesus, guys, how do I live without other people telling me what's fucking going on? Yeah, apparently I came on and made an account and that was the end of it.
Okay. Well, maybe Jana's homework this week will be to try both herps.social and ReptiPost more and see if she has preferences. Or they're very similar because they're both Facebook-esque backgrounds, but not exact currently because they have, you can like tweak like the base form.
So that's what we're talking about next week. So
I think that might just be news. I don't know if that's going to be the main because I don't think there's enough that's going to change in the next week. We probably need an interview. Let's be honest.
If you haven't had your interview and you're listening, sponsors, we're talking about you.
Well, and we have to get ready for the auction that night also next week.
Okay. Well, that's next week's Jana's problem.
Well, I don't know what people like are craving. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, they'll get what's in my rack.
No, I mean like in terms of the next episode, do they want an outside person interview, a sponsor interview?
Yeah, if you just have a hankering for something, comment.
Do you want me to explain something about biosecurity? We haven't done like a sciencey one in a long time, but those ones always do historically extremely poorly.
Yeah. If there's anything you're just dying to hear about, comment below. If you have feedback on the testing for the Coco blocks, if you have more questions, you can comment below or you can message me on Instagram, ASM Royal Tales. If you have an episode you're dying to see, you can message any of us with your idea, or you can comment. We don't mind requests. And thank you for Mittens the Kittens for coming on. That was exciting. That was exciting for me.
Hare says we need spreadsheets. Did you watch Leviathans?
I haven't watched it yet. No.
There were spreadsheets in there, brother.
That was a flat out no. That was a flat out get your fix elsewhere. Wow. That is one of our sponsors, Jessica.
I wasn't telling him no. I was just thinking about it because they just did one. Like what we could do would be different. Maybe like how to buy into a new species or something if you're going to want to.
Yeah, we should do an episode on the Maserati. How do you say it?
Musarana. You keep saying Maserati like a car.
Sorry. Take me as I am, Jessica.
Why don't you go find someone that has them?
Okay.
And then they can come on and talk about them. Hypothetically. I know people who do, but I don't know if
they'll show up.
Yeah.
Or if they like us. Are we in their band club?
Probably.
I'll reach out and see what I can.
I think there's a Musarana Facebook group.
There is, and I'm a member.
Right. So you just be like, is anybody a coherent adult, not racist, want to come on to be interviewed about Musarana care and breeding or whatever? And maybe they'll say yes. Fuck, I don't know. So that would be fine.
Or if you have some other obscure thing that you're breeding, raising, knowledgeable, let us know. We like to have odd things on every once in a while just to keep it fresh. I think we did it, Jessica.
Yeah, we did it like 20 minutes ago, but it's fine. I don't want to like sit on the 95% news because it's like so.
That was 85%.
Whatever. Oh, you know what else is weird? One last thing. My diamond's rat stay, because you know how they like hold their eggs in their body a long time? She doesn't want to be on the heat ever. She's actually like incubating them on the heat like a ball python does. It's the wildest thing.
Interesting.
She's like curled up.
She's like,
because she's incubating them inside of her body. And I'm like, I've never seen you even look at the heat side. You like run away from it.
Yeah, I've messaged Jason Taylor before about getting some of his snakes because I really, really, really want a trio. And the Pied Project is amazing too. So I will ask him. I don't know if he will deign to give us his time. I don't know much about him, so we might not be his cup of tea. But I will definitely ask him, and I will ask in the group. But they'll probably all say, "Ask Jason," which is
or they all work at a normal time.
That's true.
If they all work. The like supplies for breeding. Was that one? I'm old. You gotta remind me. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But a moose run would be a change of pace, I guess, is what I'm saying. Okay. If not, later. Okay.
Later. All right, guys. You take care. Have a great Friday. And we will see you next week.
Goodbye. Thank you, Mittens the Kitten, for your service.